Thrill Me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
Core memory unlocked.
Horror.
15 years ago, I was told there was nothing left.
Better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
A ver, hijo de la chingada, deja de estar viendo memes, pendejo.
¡A la verga, me vale verga, perro! ¡Y cállate a la verga, cállate!
Welcome to Core Memory Unlocked, your favorite horror version of this show. I'm Zach, that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, something about Spanish Chucky will just always hit. It always hits right in the heart.
You know what? It's a good whiff of what this show is. Just a bunch of goofiness and slaughtering, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes Spanish.
Sometimes. Just to give an update, if you are watching this episode is dropping on Halloween, so happy Halloween to all watching. But I will let you know, starting in December, this show will become a Patreon exclusive. So once a month we will do this, and you know what? Maybe buy if you can't afford to help out your favorite independent Thrill Me Podcast Network channel. If you can't do that, it'll probably drop later on in the year, probably towards next spooky season. But if you want these things to drop so consistently monthly for you, be a member of the Thrill Me Podcast Network Patreon. Also, this is the old version. We'll update it later. Well, actually, I was told their name couldn't be said anyway. So Christy, Brady, Joe, Michelle, Mark, Mariah, Nicole, Justin, and the Chad, and Thou Shall Not Be Named. Thank you for being Patreon members. And I actually think I got to link up with Mariah because she is deserving of a shirt. So, hey, Mariah, I will get with you shortly to figure out what kind of shirt you would like from the Thrill Me Podcast Network TeePublic page. All right.
No touchy.
No touchy. So, that being said, welcome to Core Memory Unlocked. This show, this horror version, is us just reliving horror movies of our past. And I want to ask you are the Nightmare guy. You are a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And I want to know, where did Freddy's Dead sit with you for the first time watching? Like, where were you? How old were you?
I was way too young. Freddy's the one I like the most because Freddy is the one that I got to watch the most of at that young, should not be watching this age. I don't even want to like go out on a limb and be like, it must have been my dad's favorite, but it seemed to be the one that my dad watched with me because I was allowed to watch horror movies with him. He would have to be there to watch them. And Nightmare was, for whatever reason, the franchise that I got to watch with him.
Right.
So, okay, cool. Like, I vividly remember watching Dream Warriors with him, Part 4 with him, Part 5 I remember getting yelled at because I started to watch it without him. And, but I don't have a memory of Part 6, but I know my reaction the first time has always remained my reaction, although I might have tweaked a little bit since this rewatch, but I've always enjoyed this for how absolutely bonkers it is. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I stand on this.
This franchise is the weirdest for me because, and what I mean by that for my viewing, I don't know which one I saw first. I know for a fact it was not the original. That came later on because I was like, oh my God, look how dark and scary this one is. I've always known the fun-loving Freddy. I've always known all that kind of goofy stuff he did. So I can't pinpoint whether this is one of the first ones, but I do know it's in almost the Holy Trilogy, Jesus Christ. Trinity of 4, 5, and 6 were the original ones I've seen. Because growing up, I always remembered the Kung Fu fight from part 4. Mm-hmm. I always remembered the motorcycle death of the boyfriend in 5. And in this one, I just always remembered the Power Glove scene. And all that like melded for me. And then eventually it does separate where I do get different outlooks and how I feel about the franchise and such. But this one, I will say, it has to be that core memory for me of watching HBO. And this just be one of the horror movies that came on HBO during that time period.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with you as well. It really was like, I saw 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I actually saw 1. 2 was the last one I ever saw.
Right.
That's what's wild.
Two has a weird relationship with me because for the longest time, fucking
you really love
this
film, especially
really
the
shower team, the shower scene, yeah. No.
What I was saying.
I'll get you here. I always confused the beginning of Freddy's Revenge, Part 2, with A License to Drive. Corey Feldman and Corey Haim's License to Drive, because both movies start with a bus going off route. Now, who is the one with the nightmare? We'll never know. Was it Haim? Was it Mark from Freddy's Revenge? I don't know. We'll never find out.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
right,
but we are here. Yeah, we're here to talk Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. It's really interesting to me that they wanted to call it Freddy's Dead. In just 2 years, we get Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Like, it's interesting that New Line Cinema was kind of obsessed with, we have to call it the final. We have to call it the final.
Well, was it that, or was it that idea of kind of where we feel like the well-known now of, at this point, slasher films were kind of on the way out? You know, they were never going to go away, but they needed the reinvention before New Nightmare was ahead of its time. And then, obviously, Scream really brought this genre of film back of, essentially
a different version.
Yeah.
Like, instead of this supernatural killer, you're getting someone you may know.
Yes, it became, exactly. And that allowed for the, eventually like the Jason X, but even that at that time was kind of, oh God, you're going to hate me for it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Because Scream makes fun of it now, but in a way, Scream in the 90s became the elevated horror. They became that version of the elevation of the genre of when Jason X came out. It was a fun throwback. That's why I like it, because it's just, here he is.
It's old school Friday.
It's just a slasher film of Jason killing teens now in space and eventually Earth 2. As opposed to everything else wanted to mimic Scream after that. Nothing just wanted to do a straightforward slasher. And I think that's why until we got those like reboots, we didn't really see much with those franchises. And I feel like I mean, I might just be bullshitting and spitballing here, but I feel like that was part of the play into it, is that they were trying to find, like, they were making money, but they just weren't really generating much anymore. Like, the excitement of Freddy Krueger to the point where he peaked, man. He was hot. He was red hot. He had a television show and everything, too. I mean, it's Freddy Krueger. And then New Nightmare comes along and is like, hey, no, make him scary again. And people are like, oh, yeah, we like that.
I mean, people said they liked that, but they didn't see it. Like,
yeah, I know.
I think as much as I love that movie and I appreciate Wes doing that movie, the thing about it is they did exactly what they went out to do. They were like, no, this is the final one. Thanks for your money. By the way, here's the new one.
Yeah.
And unfairly to that movie, it got missed with the audience because they just thought it was another Freddy movie.
Yeah.
That being said, with this one, you're right. We're at the pinnacle. This is the end for this version of Freddy. Before we move on, we're going to watch the trailer in case any listener, watcher, whether you're checking this out on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or if you're watching on or listening on Podbean. Who knows? Who knows? But thank you for your service. Here you go. Here's the trailer for Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare.
As a boy, he was always different. No one understood him.
You ready for it, boy?
Alice.
Time to take your medicine.
Thank you, sir.
No one could control him.
Go inside, honey.
But now, it's a new beginning. The beginning of the end for Freddy.
Every town has an Elm Street.
Screaming while the bus is in motion.
It's your mind or go for it.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too.
We're gonna have to hit him with everything we got.
Now I'm playing with power.
We're in Twin Peaks here.
It's gotta be me and him.
You want to live?
Maggie, what's up?
What's with kids today, huh?
Freddy's Dead. The Final Nightmare.
Great graphics.
They saved the best for last.
Did they? You know what, though? And I mean this wholeheartedly. That trailer did more justice than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Like that trailer fell in line with, like, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It felt darker. But when you get into the movie's not dark at all.
Mm-mm. This is
and
a
I
comedy.
think that's a yeah. It's not even like scary at this point, which is the detriment of Freddy at this point. Because my first note is I don't like his makeup in this movie. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's they wanted to almost humanize him because, you know, anytime you saw him, you thought he was disgusting. This felt like, let's use the prosthetics from the TV show because it's much friendlier.
Yeah, that actually is a lot of my feeling of this film is that, and that's why I was saying, like, it makes sense if they were like, Freddy's dead, and we're kind of putting an end to this because he peaked, man. Like, he became so popular as an icon that he wasn't scary anymore. And that's why this film ends up being what I describe as just a live action Looney Tunes with people falling from the sky, literally fucking like laying out pins for somebody to fall on to die. Like, it's
going
so,
through a wall that makes your body.
Makes the body, like, everything about this, like, is Looney Tunes, is a live action. Brendan Fraser wishes that they did this. wishes that they had done this with his film. But they didn't. They did it with a Freddy film. And it just doesn't, it's so weird of a film. And it sucks because you get Johnny Depp back for this one as well. But even that is kind of in a weird, like, comical type of way that it works, but it's also just kind of like, oh, all right, Johnny Depp feels wasted.
I feel you on that. I mean, he is a killed character, and I think at the time with the "Don't Do Drug" commercial,
Yeah, it's funny.
It plays better in '91 because no one would really get that reference without being told. But
Yeah,
I
we still
think,
get it.
yeah, I'm old enough to get that.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I'm not with you on that. I do think that's the perfect place for that cameo. There are others that I was kind of shocked we didn't see. I'm shocked we didn't get something Heather Langenkamp. I'm shocked
I'm happy
we
she
didn't get. Yeah. I mean, she earns her place in the next one.
Yeah.
But the basic story of this movie is Freddy has killed all the children from Elm Street. There ain't nobody around. And when he's gotten this one, it's funny because it kind of comes off Freddy versus Jason style, where it's like everybody forgot about him. So he needs to get more kids and more people need to come. He needs to get out. And this one kid thinks he's the kid. He's Freddy's kid. And then ultimately that's not the case. He has a daughter where, I don't know, this all feels convoluted, very rushed, very just all over the place almost, in my opinion, for just enjoyment of the film. I feel like we get these side characters with the deaf kid, Breckenmeyer, the kung fu girl, like all of it just feels like they put like ideas and adjectives in a hat and they just started throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah, it's it's the 90s version of look at our diversity.
Right.
Look at what we're doing. We have this year that like this isn't anything new, people get mad about with films. Like
Right.
it's kind of how it comes across. Like it's very stereotypical of we have a disabled kid. We have a strong female that's going to be that's going to end up being our final girl. We have
burnout smart.
Exactly. The burnout. We have this kind of rugged type as well. This like rough guy who's always ready to pick a fight, but is not going to be ready when Freddy comes. You know, you're fucked, as the map told him. It's very by the numbers, and you don't care about any of those characters outside of the one that they want you to care about. And do you really even care about her at that point? Because they do such a big job at building up the other character just to be like, he falls to his death on some nails. It's like, well, okay, I guess you're going for the twist.
Yes.
But you're right. But I will say this. In this rewatch, I did have the thought of, there is a good concept here. There's I love the concept of what if Freddy did win and actually did kill all the kids on Elm Street, and these parents are kind of in a deluded, really like screwed up way. Think like Pennywise, and kind of that idea of like the adults are just kind of so disillusioned of what happened, and then you could have told the story of an influx of kids coming to the area, but I don't even mind the idea of him having to leave because fuck it. In part 5, it's his kid, right? Dream Warrior is Freddy's kid. So
Dream's child.
Dream child. Yeah. Sorry, but confused. Putting names of different movies, doing different films.
Dream Warrior, Dream Child. Who gives
a shit? It was, it's a Freddy film. It got some cool guests. And we found out about the Maniacs, the 1,000 Maniacs. So I like, there weirdly is a good film there. There's just they just leaned into comedy and kind of this very, we got to get the film out. We got to get the film out. We got to get the film out.
Well, I don't even want to knock it because
it's not bad. I love the film still.
So the director, it's their first time directing. I believe I don't remember her name offhand, but I think she's a New Line person. Like she worked on a bunch of films.
She had been a part of
and probably even
franchise.
Yeah, and I'm sure she's been around that that department. Yeah, the Friday Nightmare on Elm Street. But I think it's so disjointed with what it's trying to sell. Even you saw through that trailer where it's like, that's not the movie. Like, you guys pitched a actual horror movie, which I completely understand because it's a horror movie character. But everything about it just seems comedy. Now, I've been doing a lot of knocking, so I will just shine it up a little bit, give it some love. Robert Englund doesn't miss a beat. Like, he got the script, he got the idea, he did exactly what they wanted, and he didn't walk through it. He legitimately gave his all into this performance, because I do think he thought this was the last time, so I might as well give it my all. Good for him. And I think there are good ideas, great cameos, the Alice Cooper cameo, the Arnold's cameo. Like, everybody has good stuff. Now, to kind of go back down a little bit, because the only two things that I can think of negatively, story-wise, is I don't like that this takes place a decade after all the events of A Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Yeah.
I don't like that when we live in this world, that doesn't look any type of future. Like, the Nightmare series has never been like, oh, it's a year later, it's 2 years later. It's always felt... This movie fits in the same world as the last ones, where if it truly took place, I forget, 1999, I think it's
yeah, something like that.
1999 did have a different look than 1991. So for me, a little bit of an era change would have been nice, even if it was just little bits. It didn't have to be anything big, but just something that didn't make it feel like it was 1991.
Yeah.
I get 1991 feeling in Elm Street place in Springwood. I get that. If nothing has changed because everybody's been down for the count. But everything outside of that town still felt the same.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, as you said. It doesn't, like, there's no... Jason X at least goes for the future thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like, it's still 1991 or whatever it was. They filmed it in 90 or whatever.
Okay.
Like, it looks just like that. But I do get the idea of having to age forward if you want to continue the idea of his kid.
Right.
And the age that they want to go for. So I get that. But yeah, I'm with you in the sense that there's just no, like...
It's just like you said. They have a very good skeleton that could have came across well, but it didn't get executed. That's one of those minor things where it would have changed. And this is what I mean by this. In this, I think it's the same fucking year. Predator 2 is based in 1997. And Predator 2 has technology that felt different from 1991. Like, they did have future, like, weaponry or video, stuff that just changed it a little bit. So, minor gripe. Last gripe, the 3D.
I'm so mad I couldn't find it. I was gonna pull out my 3D glasses for this part.
If I could find my box set, my original box set, I think they were in there.
I'm sure they were, because I think it originally, like, you could technically, like...
Yes, you could. You could watch the 3D version of it. I think they did it for the VHS release and the original, because my original Friday box set also had 3D glasses for 3. But I don't get... okay, let me rephrase. I do understand the 3D craze. And I remember at that time, like, Scratch things, Simpsons was in 3D. All these different things were doing 3D gimmicks. I didn't understand why this fucking movie did it.
I'm with you. I don't get it either. And it's so, like, the way that they go about it as well is so asinine.
Oh my. If you're in the dream, these aren't there.
Yeah, like, it was so, like, 1950s Vincent Price, like, set up for, like, the audience of, like, how they go about it, like, to tell you, the audience, as well, hey, it's time to put on your 3D glasses, where they're just like, hey, believe me, in your dream world, put these on. When you fall asleep, put these on because they work different in the dream world. Get it, audience? Put on your glasses now because we're going into 3D shit.
Right.
And then, here's where you could take them off, where for no reason now, after everything's done, they're just going to magically go, ooh, we see him again and they vanish. Now it's time for me to take them off. Okay.
We're good
Thanks,
now, guys.
Vincent Price. Thanks for warning me that the Tingler was about to come into the room.
It's not a problem. Thank you for watching.
It would almost be bad if you put on your glasses. Oh, it says put on the glasses. Put on the glasses. Oh, look at this. 3 random fucking demons from hell.
Well, not only that, we're going through a tunnel. Like, it comes off like a Freddy ride than an actual film.
And I love that they still also do the one thing that it's not endearing with this one. It's endearing with Jason Part 3D. Mm-hmm. Where once they go to the 3D gimmick, they start with the stupid crap of, I'm just going to, because I got it in my head, where they're just like,
look at this eyeball.
Just for no reason being like, oh, ho, ho, ho.
Oh, he's got the harpoon gun.
Where it's like, but like,
it's shots for the movie.
It's shots for the film, but it works for Part 3 of Jason, and it's endearing there because it's so early on in the 80s. Every third film has the gimmick, which is why the shark's fins aren't moving in Jaws 3D. But now we're in the 90s. We're beyond the gimmick, and they're reaching for a gimmick that's so early to mid 80s that it's like, you could have done this in the third film, right? You know, Dream Warriors, it probably would have worked.
You could have done this in Dream Warriors.
It would have been the way to do it. Nightmare 3D Dream Warrior, or Nightmare 3. Oh, no, I was trying to find a way to do the 3D with the Dream Warriors and the D in the Dream. It was not working.
Dream Warriors.
There you go. 3 Dream Warriors.
Yeah, 3 Dream Warriors.
Wear your glasses for the entire film.
Yeah, that would have been fine. And like you said, like the way Friday the 13th did it, it at least incorporated the story and characters and people, where this was literally put it on. You go through a roller coaster ride, it seems, through the mind, and then you see 3 demon things. Because in the story, 3 demons came to see Freddy before he died in the fire by the parents, and they were like, be our little bitch boy and we'll save you. He's like, I'll do it.
We'll help you kill more kids from beyond the grave. Okay.
All right. I guess so. That sounds good.
And so, but again, I would have been cool with that if like they had fleshed that out. Like, I'm okay with that being a part of the Freddy lore. And
but also, and I'll say this, I swear to fucking Christ, because it's just, did they bring him out to the real world to kill him?
No, I think they kill him in the dream world.
They just put a dynamite in him. He blows up. The demons go away. I think he comes to the real world.
No, he does come to the real world because that's where they remind you not to take off your 3D glasses yet.
Yeah.
Because she says, no, everything still looks weird in here to me.
Right.
Like the dream world because of the glasses. And you're like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And that's where the explosion comes and you got the, 7 heads exploding in your face over and over and over.
But my issue with it is like, well, that's how you killed him in the first movie. He came out into the real world. There's nothing like different.
To be fair, in the first film, they rolled him out into the real world, and then Nancy turned her back on him and went, I take back every piece of energy I ever gave you. And he's all melty and scary. He's like, what? You can't do that. And she's like, I take it all back, Fred. And she just sits there holding the door and he vanishes. Yeah. And then she wakes up in another dream that he controls and all of her friends.
Yeah, like, what are we even doing?
But she survived.
Yes, but that being said, like, it's still the same kind of thing. Like, even when Freddy dies here, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe it. And obviously so, because not even counting the next movie, we get Freddy versus Jason where he's just been in slumber.
Yeah.
So
and it connects to Jason Goes to Hell with the Kane Hodder being because 3 people have played Freddy.
Yep.
Everybody forgets that.
So
that's a great trivia question, by the way. How many people have played Freddy Krueger?
3, I guess.
Yeah,
Kane
3.
Hodder's played. Kane Hodder's done Leatherface. He's done Jason Voorhees. He's done Michael Myers. He's Freddy.
He's done Freddy as
done them
well.
all. He's done
Because
them all.
he's the hand at the end. He had to play Freddy.
That's right.
So.
But this all being said,
Second best Freddy.
you made me to watch the credits because I was like, oh, what post credit am I getting? And it's just a picture of R.I.P.
Yeah, I thought that was cute because of how they like lean into it with the.
No, I do
He's
love the
dead.
fact, right? Like they went out of their way to be like, this is it, and I appreciate it. I think that's great. And if it truly was, cool, but it wasn't. So it's just one of those things where this is their version of the final chapter. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
It is, but what I will give this franchise is while final chapter happened and then you get Jason X just kind of picks up with the same old, like, you know,
yeah,
oh, it's Jason again, the whole, you know, transferring power thing and heart and potential Ash versus Jason not going to happen now, even though we had the Necronomicon shit. But I will say that at least with the Nightmare films, the next one takes a really cool approach and isn't like it doesn't feel like we're getting the same old. And then we get the Freddy versus Jason, which is to me just the perfect kind of homage of both of those characters.
Right. No, you're right.
Because it gets with the best beats of both of those franchises.
At least the next two are special.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that they're both.
And not to take away from Jason X, because you know how much I love Jason X.
Right.
But it is kind of a revert back to like, here's part 3, part 4, part 5. Yeah, or not part 5, part 6. You know.
Right.
Here's Jason just killing kids again, where, you know, New Nightmare was like, we unleashed a demon by accident, and we have to tell a Freddy story to keep that demon in a box.
To put it back in.
Yeah, you know, we open Pandora's box, essentially.
Right.
Like, ooh, I like that. And then, you know.
Right.
And then the third best Freddy Krueger comes along, and they completely take away all the lore and fun of Freddy and make me forget that I saw the movie, that I watch it a second time, and then at the very end go, oh no, I wasted 2 viewings on this.
Yeah. No, I watched What the F Happened to that movie today, actually.
I might have to watch that.
Woof.
I want to know. I want to know how you could fuck that up so badly, considering you nailed Texas Chainsaw, you nailed Friday.
I'll spoil it for you because I need to. Apparently, they had 15 scripts made for it. The writer who's credited for it said the on-screen of what his script to that screen was nothing that he wrote, and that the company just took Wes's script and reshot it and just improv'd here and there. So that's why a lot of it is almost identical.
My issue with that is it's so identical, and then when they try to do something different, it is such an asshole, like, do you even know the franchise type of feel? Like, it comes across so, like, and the one cool thing that they do in that film, the one cool thing that I like what they do in that film is the idea that they're like, what if our parents killed an innocent man? And I'm like, ooh.
Right.
What if Freddy was innocent? What a great concept. And then they quickly are like, oh no, like, we're just going to confirm now that he was a child pedophile. Right. And it's like, wait, but we never got that in any of the other films.
Right.
It really honestly became people were just like, because he's a child killer, he must be that as well. But as we learned in this one, he had a daughter and he loved his daughter and he did not do that. He just murdered kids.
He just murdered. He loved murdering.
That's what I tell Brooke too all the time. I'm like, listen, you hate him because you think he did this thing. He just murdered them. He didn't do the other thing. And she's like, and that makes it any better.
Listen,
it doesn't.
He just likes playing his games on easy mode. Okay.
Okay.
He doesn't like medium and hard. He just wants to kill.
He just wants to make sure that when he morphs in every time, he's a counselor. He's not.
This bitch is dead on her feet. Yeah, so that's Core Memory Unlocked Horror.
Yeah.
Freddy's Dead. I think the movie is worth a watch if you're into the franchise. If you have, like, I'm doing a deep dive, I don't think it's one you skip because you have to get to Wes Craven's. I almost feel like this movie is a great predecessor to it in the sense of this is what they're talking about in this movie.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. I don't think it's the worst of because the Nightmare franchise. I could sit here and I could talk for days and days and days about how Part 1 is just a masterpiece. Part 2 is very confused. Like, it has the weirdest history of, as far as slasher
and I still
franchises
don't
of
hate
having.
it. I still
Yeah.
don't hate to.
And that's the thing. I don't hate even the worst of these films. There is something that there are two things that work about him in every one of them, and it is Robert Englund. 100% it's Robert Englund because every single one, he is more and more and more and more Freddy Krueger. Like, he really is that character. He is perfect as it. Yeah. But it's also the creativity. It becomes it's a better version than what the Final Destination franchise became, in the sense of
or even Saw.
Or Saw, or any of those where by the time we get to like the fourth or fifth film,
we're here for
the lore and all of that is going to be wild and out there. But it's the kills. We remember the kills. You know, you bring up with Freddy's Dead, the glove. We all remember the power glove. Oh, you forgot the power glove. Okay, that's hysterical. We remember Breckenmeyer being killed that way before he went on to Rat Race. And then we also...
He did Clueless first.
Oh, that's right. He did do Clueless between there. Look at that. Him and two guys in Clueless doing
Paul Rudd.
The last film in franchises for a while. But also we get the death the ear. And
where it clings onto the ear.
With the earpiece. And that whole sequence is just extremely memorable. You get the cockroach scene in what is
part 5?
Part 4.
Four.
Yeah, 4. You know,
4 is full of just disgusting fucking. I think
there's
isn't
so
that
much
the
creativity.
Or is 5 the meatball pizza?
I think 5 might be the meatball pizza.
I think 5 is meatball.
Yeah, with the but that's the thing. Every one of them has some moment that you're like, yes, it's memorable.
A great special effect.
Yeah,
that's great special effect.
Great, and that's why I will always defend that franchise over some of the others, because it gets a little repetitive in the others. It gets repetitive in Nightmare, but it's a little bit like, but what's Freddy going to do?
Yeah, no, I am with you. I think the inventive kills, Robert Englund, they may not be my favorite outside of 1 and 7, but like his in-betweens are always more interesting to watch. Like, I'm a Halloween guy. It's hard to watch 4, 5, and 6, where this actually has redeemable moments. This movie may have redeemable moments. It may not be the best, but it will never be Halloween Resurrection.
Exactly. Nobody kung fu kicked Freddy Krueger and said trick or treat, motherfucker.
No, they would be like, sleep
or
tight,
welcome to
motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was like, are they going to say, now you're in prime time, bitch?
Night, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that's Core Memory Unlocked.
1, 2, Busta's coming for you.
Coming for you? Jesus Christ. Yeah, we need to end this now. Thanks for watching or listening to Core Memory Unlocked Horror. Once again, this is going Patreon exclusive till probably next spooky season. Well, we'll release 1 or 2, maybe 3 during next spooky season. But become a Patreon member, Throw Me Podcast Network. Wonderful. Thanks for coming on again.
As always, 1, 2, Busta coming for you. 3, 4, you better lock that door. 5, 6, never sleep again.
Like, there's a Fat Boys rap you could do.
Nah, man, because Fat Boys wouldn't be in that.